Hi everyone, it's Ms. Cary, and I'm going to talk to you about how to get ready to go to your concert and write your concert review paper, which counts for your exam. So you want to use as much music vocabulary from the text as you can, and refer to the music elements for your music analysis of your concert. But let's go over the two files on Moodle that are designed to give you more guidance about how to go about the concert. So let's go to Moodle. You want to go to Moodle? Okay, let's go. So here we are at the course page. Let's scroll down and look at these two files here, just under the picture there. Writing concert reviews and 6 steps in writing your concert review. So, writing concert reviews, let's open it up. And it says, music, like any other discipline, requires critical analysis and evaluation. How to evaluate music can be a difficult and even confusing process initially. Like anything else, however, the ability to critically listen to music and clearly express what is heard in writing develops with practice. It is important to remember that there is no such thing as good art or bad art. All works of art are subject to interpretation. The quality of a work of art is determined by the individual or group assessing it. For this reason, you should consider 3 overarching questions when evaluating a work of art. Number 1, what is happening? If you are looking at a painting, for example, the first question might be, what is happening in this painting? Frequently, it is easier for people to ask this question initially for a work of visual art. Music, however, requires critical listening skills. Often, when listening to music, we tend to passively listen, ignoring elements of the music and treating the overall experience as background noise. Even when listening critically, different individuals will tend to notice different things. For example, one person might be more focused on the lyrics of a song, while another will be directing their attention towards the melody. Number 2, how does it make me feel? When you go to a movie, there are moments where you experience different emotions. This contributes to your larger overall impression of the film. For an exercise, think about a movie you saw recently. Now, if you can try to describe in one word how the film made you feel. This can often be a more difficult task than one would expect. When evaluating music, ask the same question. Multiple factors may also play into how you feel while listening, such as your mood, before, during, and after you listen, the environment in which you are listening to the music, are you alone, in a crowd, etc. Your focus on the music, is it something in the background while you are driving, or are you directing your attention to it completely? And your knowledge of the music. Whether or not you have previously heard the piece, you already have opinions before you listen. Number 3, why does the music make me feel how it makes me feel? Again, external factors, as I mentioned at the end of question 2, may play a role. However, it is important to also recognize that music, as an artistic medium and therefore a medium for expression, has the transformative capability to change your mood, demeanor, thoughts, and even beliefs. Music set to text, for example, often carries a message which consciously or unconsciously influences the listener. Instrumental music can be more difficult to evaluate without musical terminology, which is why understanding a few basic musical terms will aid you in your critical listening. However, it is still possible to identify structural elements of music with a limited vocabulary. For example, let's say two individuals, a concert pianist and a person with no musical training, are listening to a live piano recital. The pianist may say something to the effect of, "The keyboardist's rendition of the Bach prelude possessed little musical direction. The individual subject of the fugue lost when the developmental material in the left hand entered." The person with no musical training likely does not know what a fugue is, what developmental material is, or even the fact that they are listening to Bach. However, their musical opinion is equally valid to that of the trained musician. They can still express in clearly articulated thoughts their impressions of the performance with a limited vocabulary. For example, the first selection the pianist played was a very busy work with several different things happening at once. It was difficult at times for me to hear a distinct melody, and as more notes were added by the performer, I had trouble following what was happening musically. Finally, keep in mind the three lenses of observation in order of significance. The musical lens, what is happening musically. The cultural lens, what are cultural components tied to the musical performance, like dance, dramatic elements, attire, setting, extra musical context. Or the social lens, the reactions of all parties involved to one another, musician to audience, musician to musician, etc. So that is a helpful way to frame a concert experience and how to communicate that to the reader. Let's close this up and go back to the course and look at 6 steps in writing your concert review. So number 1, collect the data. Do not worry about the shoulds or should nots. In other words, write down everything you hear and see. You are simply collecting information. What you decide to use or not to use comes in later. At this initial stage, ignore nothing. Step 2, organize the data. Start by organizing data into broader categories, like musical lenses, and then break each one down into smaller categories. For example, you might break down musical lens into categories of instrumentation, dynamics, articulation, rhythms, etc., the musical elements. Another example would be to break down the cultural lens into attire worn by the audience's behavior during the performance, how the musicians organize the instruments on the stage, and so on. Step 3, recognize the objective versus the subjective. After you have organized the data into 3 broader categories and their respective subcategories, ask yourself the following. In the notes I took on the performance, what observations were facts and which ones were my opinion? Sometimes this is easy. For example, saying there were 3 musicians and none of them played instruments. That's a fact. We can prove that. However, it is worth noting that the distinction between fact and opinion is sometimes more difficult. For example, the guitarist's performance was more heartfelt than the singer's earlier in the show. Is heartfelt a value determined on an individual basis, a cultural basis? Why might you have this viewpoint? Does some element of your cultural background inform your statement? Is heartfelt something that can be objectively measured? Subjective statements are important as they can constitute an important part of the human experience. Individual awareness of the world and our experiences in the world. However, a subjective statement holds more weight if it can be supported with objective information. Step 4, organize the themes. Organizing the data is one thing, but organizing the themes can be a little trickier. What are some elements of the performance which especially stood out for you? Consider that each person has a unique individual experience when attending a concert. Person A may hear a song and have a completely different emotional reaction than person B's reaction to the same song. Similarly, person A may notice more about the rhythmic variety in a piece of music, while person B may notice more about the melody, and person C may notice more about the varieties of articulations used. In your notes, you may be surprised to find that you gravitate more towards certain elements of the performance. For example, the interaction between the musicians on the stage might catch your interest more than the interaction between the musicians and the audience. Step 5, start getting specific. Once you have organized the data, determined objective versus subjective observations, and organized your notes into broader themes, it is time to begin determining how to communicate all of this information in the most concise and clear manner possible. If there is a musical term to describe something, see if you can find what it is. For example, you may write in your notes that the melody the violinist played on the second song was really hazy. Is hazy really the best word to describe what you're trying to say? Perhaps you're referring to the articulation of the notes, which bleed one into the next. Slurred is a good musical term to describe this. To use another example, the speed of the song felt really lazy. A more concise and clear way of establishing this information would be to say the song had a slow tempo. And finally, share your draft with different people. I am always happy to review as many revisions of a draft as you need, but remember that my opinion is but one. Things that may not jump out to you or me when reviewing the draft may become immediately apparent to one of your friends, a family member, etc. Share your draft with different people to receive the greatest feedback. All right, I want to look at one more document. Let's close this up and go down to the final week of the class. The final written assignment. Open it up. Here is the assignment. 25% of your grade. The final comprehensive assignment for this course is a concert review, where you will attend a concert and then write a review of that concert. More details will be provided about the process for this in the 2 files listed on Moodle. Writing concert reviews and 6 steps in writing your concert review, which we just went over. The papers should be a minimum of 3 pages and a maximum of 5 pages. So that's it. I hope that is enough information for you to complete your assignment. The most important thing is to go and see a concert before it's too late, while you have time to think about it and while you have time to think about it and enjoy the music. I hope you have a great time at your concert, and thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in class.